By putting our energy into always striving for more, into always not feeling enough, we are not directing that energy onto fulfilling our dreams, of taking those steps towards fulfilling our dreams. When you trust that your intuition has your best interests at heart, the world opens up. The real amazing distinction was when I realized that it wasn't my body trying to keep me safe. It was my mind. Hello and welcome to episode 6, second episode from Sri Lanka. But yeah, I think we're on episode 6 now. And I was really inspired to make this episode about how our own bodies know how to heal themselves. Because it's a topic that keeps coming up, whether I'm talking to friends, whether I'm talking to my clients, and it starts with this understanding or me explaining what I do as an intuitive healer, as a guide, as an expansion coach. And for me, it begins with this not quite resonating with the title of healer. And for me, I think it's because it keeps coming back to, I believe that we can all heal ourselves. I believe we all have the wisdom and the knowledge within ourselves to be able to heal ourselves. And to amplify this, I watched a bit of Jay Shetty's podcast with Zach Bush, I believe. And Zach Bush is talking about how our bodies have all the wisdom within them already. And we can study, we can continuously learn and read and listen and do all of these things, which is amazing because for our mind it can be stimulating, and it's, for some of us, we absolutely love to learn and have that knowledge. But at the same time, we are connected to everything. I believe, and I'm not sure if there's any scientific data to prove this, maybe there is now, I don't know, but I believe that we all came from the same point or the same source of energy. And so we are all connected. And I'm not going to go into the quantum physics side of things, maybe not in this episode, maybe another one, I don't know. But because we are all connected, we all have, in theory, the knowledge and the wisdom of the universe within us. So if you're like, oh, she's really lost the plot now, absolutely fine. Keep listening. But I truly do believe, and I've really found this experience for myself, that we do have the wisdom within us. And yes, maybe it's not that I can now go and be a quantum physicist or, I don't know, go and be a doctor and become a surgeon. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we all have the wisdom within ourselves to heal ourselves. And how this is really played out in my life is that I use my intuition. So of course, it's coming back to my intuition. So just backtracking a little bit, I do believe that our intuition guides us to the food, the movement, the exercise, the relationships, the places, the work, that so that we can thrive, so that we can embody and live our highest expression and most fullest expression of ourselves. And by that, if we listen deep within ourselves, if we listen to that deep inner knowing, that deep inner wisdom, that deep inner guidance, that is where the true wisdom lies. And if we really listen to that, and we really have the intention of, I think the intention is key as well, we really have the intention of wanting to thrive, because a lot of us, even though we think we want to be successful, we want to have all the things, a lot of the time we are blocking ourselves. And I think there's a lot of talk about, we're scared of failing. That's a whole nother episode of what I believe is and isn't failure, because for me, I don't believe that failure exists. But again, another episode. I'm just racking them up here. But I truly believe that if we have the intention to thrive, going back, lost my train of thought there completely. Rather than only being afraid of failing, a lot of us are also afraid of succeeding. And I think because a lot of us, I know I did, I lived in this world, or I lived my life, and to be honest, it was pretty mediocre. I didn't push any limits. It was a very uncomfortable comfort, if that makes sense. And I feel that if you've been in the situation, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's I don't really feel that I'm living my life. I'm not necessarily that happy. I'm not over the moon. I'm not really thriving at all or following my dreams. And yet it's a little bit too scary to do anything about it. It's a little bit too scary to change. It's a little bit threatening to how I'm living now, and it feels unsafe. And of course, we need to feel safe within our bodies to make those changes. And again, that feeling of safety comes from really having that depth within ourselves, or like connection to that depth within ourselves, rather than just the very surface level things. And so going back to this internal wisdom, if we commit, because it is a huge commitment, if we fully commit to ourselves to thriving and actually going after our dreams, going after what we really want to do, to feel, to experience, whether it's simply ticking things off your bucket list, maybe it's building a business, maybe it's meeting the partner of your dreams, maybe it's all of these things. Once we really commit to that and set that intention and tune into it every single day as often as we can, whilst also staying very present, but making sure that we are tuning in and really making decisions based on that intention and our values and how we want to feel, I really do believe that our body has the wisdom to guide us to that. It's not something external to us. It's never something external to us. And by simply, that's a funny word, isn't it? Because in some ways it is so simple. It is reconnecting, rediscovering, remembering our true wisdom, our true knowledge, our true power that's already within us, that is just bursting to come out and kind of reconvene and be hugged by us and welcomed by us. And yet it can be the hardest thing, because for so long we have been suppressing it. For so long we are told we are not enough. We are told that, and I'm going to say this, but women, a lot of the time, we are told that we are not skinny enough, we are not fit enough, we are not healthy enough, we don't have the thick enough hair, we don't have the longest eyelashes, we don't have the most tan skin, whatever that means. It is this constant bombardment from the get-go that we are not enough. And yes, it's the same for men, absolutely, and I believe it's actually getting worse for men specifically. But by believing that we are not enough, we cannot be present, we cannot be happy, we cannot be content with exactly who we are in this moment and exactly what we've got in this moment, because we always have to be striving for more. And by putting our energy into always striving for more, into always not feeling enough, we are not directing that energy onto fulfilling our dreams, of taking those steps towards fulfilling our dreams. And it's a very clever system because by telling us that we're not enough, by keeping us within these boxes, it means that we're not going to go out there and challenge things. We're not going to question things. We're not going to do things differently. We are going to follow the status quo. And it's all also related to money, right? To have these things, to have the right outfit, to be able to get your hair done, to be able to get waxed, to be able to all of the things I said before, you need to have money to do it, right? And so to have money, you need to have a consistent income. You need to have a consistent job. You need to be a part of the system, right? And by stepping outside and actually deciding, I am enough. I am totally and completely, right now in this moment, enough. I am perfect exactly as I am right now. In that way, by deciding for ourselves that we are enough, that's when we can start directing energy to other more beautiful things so that we can thrive, right? And once we start reclaiming that energy for ourselves and directing it towards ourselves rather than directing it towards all these external things that we've been told to believe, told to do, told to think, and we start directing that energy into ourselves, that's when we can truly connect to the true, deep inner knowing, to what do I actually want? And this is something I ask my clients all the time. Regardless of everything that you've known up to this point, if money wasn't an issue, if your parents being on your back when you were younger wasn't an issue, if all of your traumas, if all of your belief systems, if all of that was out the window and you had a blank slate, what would you want to do? And I just ask you to ask yourself, what do I want to do? And I think I mentioned this in my first podcast or episode, that was something that really opened my eyes and really was a huge key element of my own reclaiming. So I don't want to keep saying healing, because I think it was just a remembering of who I was and just an allowing that person to emerge. So maybe an emergence. The beginning of my emergence. That's interesting. I hope you know what I mean. But for me, that was such a big... No one had ever asked me that before. What do you actually want to do? And for me, it started with asking myself every single morning, today, what do I want to do? Regardless of anything else, anybody else, what do I want to do? And by simply asking myself that, it sounds like the simplest thing, right? What do you want to do? What do you actually want to do today? And just go and do it. Sounds so simple. And yet I found it the hardest thing, because there was so much telling me within my mind, and it's just my mind, and it's just your mind, saying, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Or no, you don't have time for that. Or no, that's not productive. Oh, don't get me started on productivity. But when we start tuning back into our bodies and we start listening, what do I want to do? What do I want to eat? When do I want to go to sleep? Am I tired right now? Am I thirsty? Do I want to move my body? Do I want to go for a run? Or do I want to go for a swim? Or do I just want to lie on the floor? Do I want to listen to some music? And that's all I do for an hour. And once we start really listening and doing that thing, that's when we start reclaiming our own power. That's when we start tuning in to that intuition and that inner wisdom. And that is invaluable. No one can take that away from you. As hard as they try, whether that's your parents, your partner, friends, work colleagues, your work, advertisements, the patriarchy, whoever it is within your head that is telling you that you're not enough, that you can't do this, that this is not the right thing for you to do, that this is a waste of your time, that this is not productive. Once you start reclaiming your power from that voice, reclaiming your true, just that true solidarity and true power with yourself, with your soul, with your most balanced, most aligned self, you're unstoppable. Because when you start to trust that you have your own best interests in heart, does that make sense? You have your best interests at heart. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm just getting very passionate right now. When you trust that your intuition has your best interest at heart, the world opens up. Because all of a sudden, you are living a completely different life. And when people say, my life is completely changed, I do things so differently, I have met different people, it's because they've started to really tune in and listen to what they want to do. And so of course your life's going to change. It's inevitable. And I, hand on heart, can say, I would never go back. I would never go back to ignoring my intuition. Not worth it. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Absolutely not worth it. Because when you have that trust, when you have that full trust in whatever you want to believe in, whether it's your soul, whether it's the universe, whether it's got a God, whether it's your higher self, I don't know if I already said that, whether whoever it is or whatever it is that you believe in, the main and the key element is the trust, right? And that trust has to come from practice. Sometimes the trust is going to wane and completely disappear and fade away. That is absolutely fine, and it's going to happen because we're human. But also just noticing, why does that trust disappear? What's happened? What thought process have I gone through for my trust to suddenly disappear? Because that shows you what patterns are trying to hold you back. And it's funny because I don't know if I'd use the word funny. It's interesting because when we start truly listening, when we start coming back into balance, coming back into alignment, our minds are going to freak out. Now, I was going to swear, but I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on podcasts, and I've got a clean rating or something, so I don't know if I want to brandish that. Again, I feel like I'm making up all these words. I made up a word the other day, jarble? Yeah. If someone knows that that's a real word, please let me know. I haven't actually Googled it, but I feel like it's not. Anyway, what was my train of thought? Nope, it's completely gone. Oh, got it. I've got it. Also, just for your reference, I do not edit this podcast. I will add my intro and my outro, and I will not edit. So this is why you hear all of these bits, because for me, I also don't put any filters on my stories, because for me this is me, this is a part of me, this I'm sharing and transmitting and channeling or downloading whatever is coming through right now. And if I was to disrupt it and edit it, I feel that would also break off the energy of this message. Hence why you are going to hear me laughing at myself, why you are going to hear me lose my train of thought. Little side note for you there. So going back to this, once you start following, your mind and your ego, and also another side note, lots of side notes today. Your ego is not a bad thing. And I really had to learn this, and I really had to have a few people tell me this. Your ego is not a bad thing. It is not something that we want to fight against. It is something that we just want to be aware of, because it is a part of us, and we have to embrace it. And of course, there's different elements of embracing it. So I would say it's interesting to observe it rather than let it take over all of your actions. But simply holding space for it rather than trying to get rid of it, I think for me was a real moment of like the light bulb clicking, because when I realized I didn't have to get rid of my ego, because at the end of the day, ego keeps you in check as well, right? Again, another episode. There we go. That's 3 or 4, I think, already. I mean, I already have a list of other ones I want to do. But when you start to really tune in, how many times am I going to say this? When you really start to come into balance, when you really start to listen to what you want to do, and you start to break these patterns that you potentially have had for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years, and you start breaking them, your mind and your ego is going to come screaming. And if you didn't notice it before, you're definitely going to notice it now, because it is louder than it's ever been before. Because at the end of the day, you are going into unknown territory. You are pushing the boat out. You are terrifying your mind. Because at the end of the day, your mind wants you to survive. Right? Your mind wants you to stay safe. So when you are suddenly doing new things, breaking these patterns, doing unknown things that you've never done before, your mind is going to try to keep you safe. And for me, the real amazing distinction was when I realized that it wasn't my body trying to keep me safe. It was my mind and the reaction that I was getting within my body that was linked to my mind. Because I think for a long time, I really thought, oh my gosh, okay, for example, I'm going to launch a podcast, and it was this, oh my God, like I really want to do it because my heart and my gut was really saying yes, yes, yes. But then my mind was creating all these stories. What are people going to think? Do you have anything interesting to say? Is anyone going to listen? All of the stories that you can imagine. Are you really going to show up? Are you really going to put yourself out there? Are you really going to be seen? All of these things. They were creating a reaction within my body. It wasn't my body reacting, because actually my body reacting was a hell yes. It was a let's do this. But it was my mind and the reaction that my mind was creating within my body. That was the difference. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that I've explained that in some way that resonates with just one person. I'll be happy. And by noticing that difference between your mind and your body, and really believing, okay, I am safe. And it's so key to build up that safety within your body. It is near impossible to go and do these things and to build up that trust within yourself if you don't have the safety within yourself. If you don't have the trust and the safety that whatever happens, you're going to be okay. That wherever your intuition leads you, that's exactly where you're meant to be, and you're going to come out the other end of it. That you're going to be okay. And just building up that trust, building up that strength. I think with the trust comes strength within yourself, because you become more and more confident in yourself. You become more confident in your decisions because you are following this inner knowing, this inner wisdom. And so going back, full loop, full circle, back to your body knows what it wants and what it needs to heal. That's where intuitive eating comes in. That's where intuitive movement, intuitive exercise comes in. And that's also where intuitive business comes in, building a business from an intuitive place. Again, that is another episode that I've marked down, because that's what I'm really passionate about as well. Building a business intuitively, and why that is the future of sustainable business and sustainable money making and sustainable ways of building businesses that are going to help the planet. So a little sneak peek for you there. But I'm going to delve into more of this, and please reach out if you'd be interested in finding out more about all of these different elements of it. But I use my intuition every morning for my supplements. So if you've seen the video, I've put my arm in the direction of my supplements because that's really useful for you because you can't see them. And this is probably a little bit controversial or whatever, but I don't really care. I have about 20 supplements that I have with me at the moment. And if you haven't heard of muscle testing, I would suggest that you look it up, because I do not take 20 supplements every single day. Absolutely not. There's no reason to do that. There is absolutely no reason that we all suddenly need to be taking 20, 100 different supplements, as much, again, as they want us to believe that we are not enough and we need to take all of these things. However, I use muscle testing every single morning to test what supplements my body needs. Sometimes it's none. Sometimes it's 5 or 6. Sometimes I test morning, afternoon, and evening because that's what my intuition and my body is asking for. And I actually did, when I was in Turkey, tracked it for a month. And I tracked which ones I was being intuitively guided to, and with the muscle testing, what was coming up. And for some, I didn't fully understand the correlation because I didn't do so much research about what they were all doing and everything, because I just trust my body. I don't need to know the research behind it. I really do trust it that much. And what was really interesting was around my period, I needed more iron. Then it faded off and I didn't have it for the rest of the month. And then when there were moments that I was just feeling a little bit more ungrounded, I was drawn to certain ones. Now that I'm traveling, now that I'm living in a different country, it is completely shifted with the climate. It is fascinating to me. And this is why I truly believe that our bodies, this has been the biggest indicator for me of our bodies truly knowing what we need in that moment to thrive. And I don't know how many times I can say that, but I truly believe that. And a quick rundown of muscle testing. So again, it's that trusting and the using that ability of our bodies to know what it needs. And I use it in that I stand up, and you can do this yourself. I will also attach a link to muscle testing in the show notes of this episode. But as you stand up, really feel that you're grounding. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you want to stand up and feel that you're really just grounding into the earth beneath you. So just imagining that there's roots growing out from beneath your feet, or if you've got another way to ground, go and do that. Stand up nice and tall, just drop your shoulders. Take some nice, long, deep breaths into your body. Really into your belly, not just into your chest. So belly, and then letting it rise into the chest as well, and just exhaling and just really coming into this present moment. Just taking the time, and once you feel that you are grounded, that you've just calmed yourself down a little bit, I just want you to think of love, of joy, of laughter, whatever brings you happiness. So this might be a memory, this might be tuning into a feeling, just really tuning into that. And with your feet firmly planted on the floor, just notice if your body moves forwards or backwards. And even just standing still, you might have noticed that your body is moving anyway. But just notice if you get pulled in one direction. And just give yourself some time. If nothing's happening, just keep tuning in, keep feeling or keep remembering or keep visualizing something that brings you so much joy, love, laughter, passion, excitement. And just notice where your body is led. And take as long as you need. You can pause this and you can test it out again and again. But then just coming back to the center. And now I want you to think of hate, of war, of destruction, of, just really negative environments, associations that you have. And again, just notice which direction your body wants to go in. And just take your time. And again, this might take longer if you've never done something like this before. It can take a while to really start understanding and letting go of your body enough that it wants to show you. And there's lots of different techniques of muscle testing, but this is the one that I prefer and this is the one that I love. I also use a pendulum. That will be, hello gecko, another episode. But there's a really interesting video that I'll post on my Instagram about pendulums with Oprah Winfrey, I think on one of her early TV shows. And so once you've gone into this love, happiness, joy, and once you've gone into this kind of hatred, just having noticed maybe where your body has moved forwards or backwards or sideways, and now I just want you to connect back into that joy and that love, and just again noticing where your body is led. And if you're like, what on earth are you talking about, Ola? Nothing's happening. Have a watch of the video that I will post in the show notes and just play around with it. Just test it out. As I said, there's lots of different ways of doing muscle testing. But just play. Just see what happens. And once you've kind of gathered, okay, my body moves this way if it's a positive, and my body moves this way if it's a negative, then using that, you can start playing with it. So how about my name is, and insert your name here. Then try my name is and use someone else's name. And again, this is how you build up that trust with it. This is how you build up the trust with your body. And it's, for me, it is, I now use it without even thinking. I use it for products in the supermarkets. Whether if there's like two different options and I'm not quite like, that's too busy around me, it's too, there's too much maybe light, or I can't really tune that deeply into my intuition, I just do this. And once you kind of have this positive and negative, or yes or no answer, you can use this for everything and anything. And just notice where you start to question it. Because if you just drop in and you ask your body this question and you get an answer, notice where you want to resist it. Notice where you want to ask the question again. Notice where you are like, this is stupid, this doesn't work. Because that is your body telling you, and that is why we find it so hard to follow our intuition, because our intuition is going to potentially tell us things that are scary, that are going to mean that we leave situations. That means that our lives are going to change. And so just notice, just play with it, just build it up, build up that trust. So yeah, I now use it for my supplements. I use it for products in the supermarket. So especially like things for like shampoo, conditioner, moisturizer, teas that I want in the morning. So many different things. I use this when I have, for example, like all my supplements. I don't want to have to tune in to every single one and see which one, as in I don't want to have to listen to my body, because sometimes it can be exhausting, right? So I just put them into rows and I just say row 1, any in there? No. Okay, row 2, done. And for me, it's just a much easier way of just getting some quick results, rather than if I don't feel safe within my body, or I don't feel that connected to my intuition or my body in that moment, I can use this technique. And that is why I believe that our bodies have all the wisdom and all the knowledge within them to thrive. And muscle testing for me was the start of all of this. It was the beginning of really understanding that my body, and really noticing that my body really does have this wisdom, and it's magic. And when you start to tune in and really listen and really trust it, the world does open up in a completely different way, and your life will change. And there will be hard times, there will be your ego and your mind trying to protect you. And that's again also why we need accountability. That's also why we need to be working with people through these transitions, because they are big, especially if you have been really out of balance, if you have been really off track or out of alignment. Your world is potentially going to be shaken up, and you are not going to, if you are already thinking that you are interested in a different way of life, there's things that are just coming up to you and it's bringing you discomfort, you don't want to carry on doing things like this anymore, something doesn't sit right anymore, just trust that, yes, it may be big shifts in your life, but just trust that it is all for something so much greater, because you are meant for so much greater. You are meant to thrive and enjoy this life. You are not here to suffer. You are not here to live a mediocre life. You are here to fulfill your dreams, your potential, your purpose. And again, harping back to one of my first episodes, your purpose is simply to be you. And things will come just because you're being you. That is how it happened for me, and that is how I truly believe that it happens for so many people. If we truly are dedicated and committed to being us, then the purpose of why we are here and what we're here to do and what's our bigger purpose, etc., it comes. It's inevitable, because it's a part of you anyway. So on that note, follow your intuition. Trust your body, that if it's asking you to do something, do it. Don't question it. Don't do it before your mind can come in. Okay? Do it. Trust yourself. You've got this. And I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Fully Blooming. If you're feeling inspired and motivated, please share with anyone you think may benefit from this video, and comment below if you have any ideas, suggestions or comments about future episodes that you'd like to know about. Thank you so much for your support, and see you at the next episode.